For today's video, we're going to take it back a little bit to February 2026. HIMS and HERS Health is bleeding out. The stock is down 48% from where it started the year. The FDA has referred the company to the DOJ. Novo Nordisk has filed a lawsuit trying to permanently ban their products. The SEC opened a formal investigation and multiple law firms are circling the board. By the conventional read, HIMS looks like a company with its back against the wall. And then 38 days later, the stock surged to 46% in a single session. How does that even happen? That is what today's video about, the resilience, the journey, and what happened for us to get to where we are right now and what we could be looking forward to in the future. So by the end of this video, you're going to understand three main things: how HIMS built the thing that almost killed it and why the model had a fundamental vulnerability baked in from the start, the exact sequence of events that took the stock from near death to 46% in a single day gain in 5 weeks. And the third, the broader investor lesson: why maximum fear is often the worst time to sell for your investments. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the game, it's the Instant Stocks by Mikhail Kuhar.
But before we do, if you don't know who I am, my name is Mikhail and I'm a partner at X10 Day Trade, where we have built a complete done-for-you trading service. And over the last 7 months, we have 6 months that have been profitable. In a market like this, I cannot tell you how many people are blowing accounts or having massive drawdowns. See, our highest value is capital preservation. That's why we never risk more than 5% of your portfolio per trade. And we can also build compounding results like 5 to 15% returns every single month. One of the great things is you never have to send us money. It's 100% secure. It's 100% liquid in your portfolio account. All you need to do is invest 5 minutes every single day to turn the software on before the market opens, and you are good to go. So if you want a solution so you don't have to stare at screens all day, you don't have to be reading all the articles, watching all the YouTube videos, and be unsure what's happening in the markets, let our team of professional day traders do it completely for you. There'll be a link down below. Go to x10daytrade.com. I'll be there and I can walk you through the entire thing. But without further ado, let's get started in today's video. So HIMS started as a men's telehealth platform, right? Hair loss, erectile dysfunction. Now, the stuff guys historically don't want to talk about or go to a doctor about face to face. The model was brilliant. Look, the model was brilliant. It put the clinical interaction online. It made it discreet. It made it subscription based. And I'm a massive fan on when someone can plug a hole in the market with a subscription based model. Now, they deliver medications directly to your door. It worked. It took all the resistance out of the whole process of it all. Now, by early 2024, the company had over 1 million subscribers and was growing fast. In May 2024, HIMS launched compounded semaglutide, essentially the same active ingredient as Novo Nordisk, Ozempic, and Wegovy, manufactured by compounding pharmacies and legal because semaglutide was officially in shortage. Now, the FDA had a rule: when there is a shortage supply, there is an ability to other companies to compound these drugs. Now, while branded Wegovy was running $1,500 per month through traditional channels, HIMS was getting it to patients for a fraction of that with a huge demand in the market. So the payback for them was just immediate. Now, the weight loss business went from zero to hundreds of millions in revenue within months. Overall revenue grew 59% in 2025 for HIMS as a total company. Now, with all of this, the model had a fundamental vulnerability baked in, and the bears have been were speaking about this all the way up until the Novo deal. Now, it depended on two things remaining true. One, the FDA shortage designation staying in place, and two, Novo Nordisk not finding a way to shut it down. We saw what happened there. As 2025 progressed, both of those assumptions started to crack. And this is where the massive shortage has come from and where the big bear thesis has come from as well. So if we look at this timeline here, this is just showing you the whole story. Now, if you've watched my videos, you're probably pretty up to date with this timeline, but if you are new here, this is going to be a quick high-level timeline to get you up to date before we go a bit deeper. Now, there's 7 main events here. This was all across 10 weeks. Now, the first 4 red dots are just crisis after crisis after crisis, hitting the stock in rapid succession from early January through to late February. Then right at the March 9 mark, the dot flips to teal and navy. Now, the partnership with Novo is announced, the acquisition with Eucalyptus is also announced, and then we have a turning point. Now, this just tells you everything you need to know about how compressed this crisis was. All of this happened in the space of 10 weeks. It's almost like a rom-com or like a drama on TV. There was so much happening. So let me walk you through the sequence, because the speed of it is what makes this story really something else. So in early January 2026, HIMS announces it will launch a compounded version of Novo's brand new oral Wegovy pill at $49 a month. Branded Wegovy pill retails at $149 for context. Now, HIMS is undercutting it by 67% on day one. The CEO, Andrew Dudum, calls it fighting for affordable access. Now, Novo did not like this. They call it selling an unapproved, inauthentic, and untested knockoff, and threatens immediate legal and regulatory action. By mid-February 2026, the FDA moves faster than anyone ever expected. The agency announces it will take decisive steps to restrict GLP-1 ingredients from compounded drugs being mass marketed as alternatives. Now, this was a direct shot at HIMS. Within 48 hours, the company pulls the compounded oral semaglutide pill, but the FDA statement is broadly worded, raising questions about the injectable compounded GLP-1 business too. Now, Boffa notes the FDA made no distinction between oral and injectable products. The crackdown could reach further than initially feared. By the time we get to February 23, the 2026 earnings call from Q4 2025. Now, on this call, the CEO, Andrew Dudum, tries to project calm confidence. He says the company can sustain its weight loss business even if the scenario where compounded GLP-1s are completely unavailable. But the numbers start to tell a bit of a different story. So Q1 revenue guided at 600 to 625 million, missing the Wall Street estimate of 632. This is Q1 2026. Now, full year 2026 guided set at 2.7 billion to 2.9, implying 15 to 23% growth. That's down from 59% year over year. And then the disclosure nobody wanted to hear. The company has received an SEC inquiry into its compounded semaglutide business. The damage report by late February 2026, the stock down 48% year to date. The FDA referral to the DOJ on the $49 pill, the SEC investigation disclosed, Novo Nordisk lawsuit filed, multiple law firm investigations starting to circle, JPMorgan actually cutting its stake, Morgan Stanley cuts price target 50% to $21, and this all massively has a downturn on the price. Now, the market cap effectively cut in half in a matter of weeks. Now, this sounds very bearish, right? But the big point in this video today is most companies in this situation would go into defense mode. Cut costs, manage expectations, settle with regulators, wait for the storm to pass. HIMS done something very, very different. They went back to Novo Nordisk. This required a remarkable degree of flexibility from the CEO and also the entire team as well, because when Novo terminated the first partnership, remember, they had a partnership with Novo back in June 2025 already that didn't work out. When that happened, Dudum publicly said there was no way in hell they were caving to pharmaceutical companies. He called Novo's actions anti-competitive. He framed HIMS as a consumer champion fighting big pharma. That is a very difficult posture to walk back from when you need the cooperation of the exact company you have been publicly fighting. But by November 2025, HIMS had already signaled it was in discussions with Novo. Those discussions continued through the chaos of January and February. And on March 9, the deal was announced. HIMS would distribute branded Ozempic and Wegovy, including the full range of Wegovy pill doses at self-pay prices starting $149 per month. Now, Novo would drop its lawsuit without prejudice. HIMS would stop advertising compounded GLP-1 medications, and all at the same time, HIMS announced the completion of its Eucalyptus Health acquisition. 1.6 billion, 775,000 international customers, and revenue run rate north of 450 million annually. And critically, Eucalyptus already operates entirely on branded medications. No compounding, no regulatory gray zones. It was a perfect strategy asset for a company being forced to transition away from compounding. So on this chart, I want you to sit with this for a second. It captures the emotional arc of the story better than words really can. So we can see where the line starts on the left-hand side, January 1st, and it just falls slowly through January, then faster through February, and it starts to cross below the $20 mark, and then 18 and then 16, right? Down to a low near 1450, and that was near the 52-week low with the fill under the line colored red the entire way down. Now, at the February 23rd mark, SEC probe disclosed an earnings miss, the worst news hitting an already beaten down stock. Then March 9, the red line doesn't gradually recover. it jumps. A single vertical move, 46% in one day from the Novo deal. And then we see a lot of consolidation happen in March. Now, the jump on March 9th is fear being removed all at once in a single session. The news came out Friday after the market had closed, and we saw a big uptick. Now, the thing was, this wasn't even confirmed. By Monday morning, we had confirmation, and then we saw a bigger uptick in the stock continuing. Now, what this big surge of 46% on March 9 was really saying, some people wrote it off as a retail squeeze or just an overreaction. But I think the magnitude of the reaction was telling you something much more important. See, a 46 single-day move does not happen because investors were surprised by good news. It happens because the market had been pricing in a significant probability of a deeply negative outcome. And that outcome just got removed from the table. So think about what the market was pricing before the deal. At roughly $14 to $17 with 230 million shares outstanding, the market cap was implying the company might not be allowed to operate its core business in 12 months. The Novo partnership answered the single most important question hanging over the stock. What does the weight loss business look like without compounded GLP-1s? The answer, a distribution partnership with the world's leading GLP-1 manufacturer. The 46% move was the market repricing from maybe this company survives all the way through to this company probably survives and might actually thrive off the back end of this deal. Now, the March 9 announcement did save a huge piece of this stock, but it did not solve all of HIMS' problem. 4 key things still need to happen. The first one is the Novo partnership needs to actually generate meaningful revenue at acceptable margins. We know HIMS can distribute compounded GLP-1s efficiently. Like, that is proven. We do not yet know the economics on branded drugs because there's going to be less of a margin on them. The first 2 quarters of branded GLP-1 revenue data will be the most important data points for stock in the 2026 earnings. Now, the second one is the SEC investigation needs to resolve. The probe remains open. Until it does, it really does keep this stock at a discount. The third one is the big acquisition. Eucalyptus integration needs to demonstrate value. $1.6 billion is a lot of money for a company with $1 billion in convertible debt and a negative Q4 free cash flow. If the integration is bumpy, that bet becomes a financial anchor for them. The fourth one is management needs to rebuild credibility with Wall Street. 2 or 3 consecutive quarters of results that meet or beat guidance. That is what turns analysts' upgrades into durable multiple expansion for the company going forward. But a message to the broader retail investor. I want to end on something here because the HIMS survival story is not just about one company. The best investor returns often come from situations that look like they might be terminal and turn out not to be. When a stock is down 48%, regulatory headlines are terrible, institutions are visibly selling, that's maximum fear. And maximum fear is often the wrong time to sell and the right time to buy. The investors who bought HIMS between January and early March 2026 made 46% in a single day on the March 9th announcement. That does not happen if you wait for the all clear signal, because the all clear signal is the announcement. By the time the news is good, you have already missed the move. Now, one of the hardest parts in the markets with this and consistently with other projects and stocks you're looking at is just distinguishing between fear that is overblown and fear that is completely justified. HIMS in early 2026 looks terrible on the surface, but the underlying business had 2.5 million subs, 73% gross margins, positive adjusted EBITDA, and a product suite addressing real ongoing consumer needs. The regulatory issues were serious but not fatal, and the Novo partnership was always a potential outcome. It just took the pressure reaching a crescendo for both sides to get serious. Now, the survival of HIMS is a story about a company that built something real enough and a management team willing to abandon a losing public argument in favor of a workable solution. Behind every scary headline, try to find the underlying business. Look at things objectively. In HIMS's case, in early 2026, the business was better than the headlines, and the investors who figured that out made a lot of money very quickly. This is not financial advice. It never is. Do your own research, people. But if you want to be up to date with what's happening in HIMS every single day, every scenario that has happened and every potential scenario that could be happening, this is the channel you want to be subscribed to. I'm bringing you videos every single day here. So as always, I'll see you in a video tomorrow.